On today's episode of Gathering the Kings,
the biggest ingredient that we can do to induce the release, the beast, the wolf, the fire, is false evidence appearing real, getting rid of fear. And I think that's the part, getting rid of the messages that were told to us. And now I'm going to say something strong, which some people won't agree with me. Trust no one, not even your mother.
You are listening to Gathering the Kings with Chaz Wolf, featuring fellow 7, 8, and even 9-figure business owners who have real battle scars from business and life, but have prevailed as the king that they are designed to be. We welcome high-performing entrepreneurs to the stage in order to reveal the real of the real on what it takes to build a successful business today. We dissect the good and bad decisions they've made along the way that give a true and accurate picture of the journey of success and how you too can get there. Through this dialogue, you will learn the value of growing your network and surrounding yourself with power players and kings like today's guest. Grab your pen and notebook because we're about to dive in. All right, everybody, I'm Chaz Wolf. I'm your host. I'm back gathering the kings. I've got Dave Garcia Doyle. You're on the king stage. Welcome, brother. How are you?
I'm very excited. Very excited. And thank you for having me.
Yeah, brother. I so appreciate you being here. You know, it's fun. Just the last couple of minutes as we've been getting you set up here, your background, and just your whole team getting you set up and everything's been fun to watch. Super interested to see where this conversation goes. I think the listeners are in for a treat. So what kind of business, or in this case, maybe businesses, are you involved with?
A few. So essentially, just off the cuff, we've got an IT company, baby nerd stuff like Geek Squad. And then we have bigger stuff. And then on the other side, I got another business for marketing. So digital marketing. And then we also do physical marketing as well. So on vehicles, on buildings, small stuff on buildings, and then apparel and things like that.
That's awesome. And so obviously we're going to have a couple different angles to go here. IT services and data and all that is very different than marketing. Yeah. But we'll be able to dive into that. So my question before we dive into your history is, at this level in the game, right? Like, you're a 7-figure owner and, you know, for all intents and purposes, the listeners aren't yet, right? They're trying to get to the place where you are. Mm-hmm. Why are you still pushing as hard as you are in even multiple different businesses now?
Because we live in a world of opportunity in areas of, I want to say brokenness, but as a person with a glass half full, I see the world of innovations that have yet to be filled. So whether it's someone's on the IT side, whether it's a phone, whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's, you know, fill in the blank of IT space, there is space for us to fill, to continue with ingenuity. And as you do it, could create excitement and a curiosity, because it just keeps going. From an IT side, it's just the world is all of our oysters. And then for myself, being in that space, it's just how deep does a rabbit hole go on the IT side to fix stuff, because there's a lot of things that are I'm trying to stay away from the doom and gloom, but there's a lot of things that are off and need to be increased. Now on the marketing side, people's identity, people are trying to get their identity. People on this show or that are listening or whatever are wanting to know, what's that ingredient? You know, how do I get the energy? How do I get the network? That's my net worth. What do I do to get that dollar figure? And so ultimately, I would sum all of it up as, take care of the honey, not the money. Meaning relationships versus other word that rhymes with ships. Knowing how to authentically, which is why I was so attracted to you, Mr. Wolf, besides having a wolf as well, actual animal in the other room, is a synergy happens when a spark of energy comes between two people, or you're just yourself, as you begin to empty out everything around you, and you start to begin the synergy. And my company is Kinergy Tech LLC is one of them, besides the NerdHerd, and it creates this excitement, energy, and pushing to keep going, because there's so much opportunity to take advantage of with camaraderie.
I mean, just that answer, we could probably dissect for the next hour in different directions. But in essence, I what I'm hearing you say is like, man, where I'm just getting started. Why would I stop now? I'm just getting started.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's the rabbit hole of any of these things, whether it's your businesses or mine or any of the listeners, you really are just getting started. And so it can go as far as you want it to. And I think that's actually great also from a personal perspective, because maybe somebody, wants to build a 7-figure business or even a 9-figure business. Like, but what does that mean to them? Right.
Exactly.
Like how far does the rabbit trail go and why, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get into that a little bit for you. I want to definitely hear some of that for you, but take us back. Like, how did you get started as an entrepreneur?
Oh man. I would say I became an ownership of my honing my abilities and autonomy and wanting to do something for the world back when I was probably, I want to say 17, 18. I mean, since I was 4, I always felt like I was different, honestly. And I've synergized. And so, but I will just say, just to focus it, when I was I got out of the little fish tank of Oregon, and I went with my church at the time to Mexico, and they did the same thing in Peru. And I saw a brokenness. I saw something that was less. And so then I was like, this is a problem. That does not make me glad. And then all of a sudden now I'm on a board called GLAD, Grupo Latino Action Directo, which is kind of funny. But the reality is, I didn't have goals. I went to a Catholic high school, private schools throughout my life. And I always felt like I just was not, I had a lot of energy. I was curious. But then we moved a couple of times in my life. And so I didn't know. But then when I had that experience of seeing something that had nothing to do with me, where I get outside of myself, didn't even think about myself. And I was like, that is a problem. That's where the fire started to burn. And then I came back and jumped on the stage at my church and I said, hey, here's a brown bag. Let's put some food in there besides just saying stuff when you're at the corner. And that's just let's go do it. And so that was so let's go do it. And then it translated to football and sports and other things as well. I didn't do the greatest in high school, but then towards at the very end I started to. But there's a long story to that. We've seen a lot of stars raise where their GPA wasn't great, but then I got into college, etc. So I would say on paper, as an entrepreneur, besides being in the enterprise space for a company like Symantec, Clearwire, I also work for AT&T. And in that realm, I really did hone. I've always had the desire to not just be a sales guy or just to try to win the pen or whatever, but always curious as to like policy and where's the source. I don't want to just address the dripping faucet and that's the drip. Let's fix the drip. Let's fix the hole in the boat. Let's find out where the source comes from and the infrastructure. And so in doing it, I learned more. And so about 6 years ago and some change, is when I started Tempo Consulting Group, which is the slogan was "Get ready, get set, grow." Because I always say that to my son, get ready, get set, go, and on the track field, and he was kiddo. But basically, this idea of keeping a cadence with people, trying to reciprocate an energy, and trying to create a synergy while we actually got things growing and going. Trying to be in the same lane, try to be in the same understanding, listening. I became a therapist at one point years ago, therapist and a social worker. And for a talker like me and the class clown or whatever, I guess I needed that to learn. It's like the universe kind of forced me to be like, hey, shut up and learn what active listening is, and so I got to do that.
It's a great skill.
And then I got to do that. And so then I got to really sit down with people here locally that were at different levels of their life, but got impacted in some capacity where they needed to sit in the chair as a group or an individual, where they were needing an answer. And I'm like, oh gosh, here we go again, and then I became a technician as well with Norton, where I also got to do root cause analysis to avoid the paralysis and really again harness this ability to be an entrepreneur by sales abilities, by marketing, but also technical, which is a big piece to be able to actually do some of the jobs yourself with your own hands.
Yeah. Wow. You gave so much there. I think that the history, obviously, that you have is eclectic and rich, but what I'm pulling out, just even in relating to my own story, is that you can only go so far by being what you said, a sales guy, or even a technician, I guess, for that matter.
Yeah.
You only go so far. And for you going further, wasn't necessarily like what most people maybe think of as I want to own the business because I want to make more money. It was because I'm a problem solver. And I like this, you had this burning desire, which it still sounds like you do, to solve problems, and the underlying maybe root cause of the problem.
Yes.
And which that's driven you to multiple industries and obviously solving problems for a lot of different people. Yeah. Okay. You've mentioned several focuses that you have. What's your main focus? What's the main business or what's the main lane that you're in on a Monday through Friday?
I would say designing the lanes. I feel like I just woke up. You know, I've been through a lot in my life, and it's a whole movie, and I'm very thankful for it. And we do cinematography as well. So being able to have different people to do specific things. But the biggest one right now is the NerdHerd, and I'm doing this as a revenue-based. I want it to make sure so that I continue to grow. Long game, right? So I was approached by someone who dealt with Steve Jobs in the past, and I think was kicked out of his office. He's from Boston, and I marinate with Boston. Like West Coast, sorry, snowflakes. Got to go East Coast. But just kidding. You guys are great. You're pretty and stuff. But like, it's game time. So I got approached through LinkedIn. He said, yo, some things, and some other companies did things this way, and we got to do it this way. And so the NerdHerd, we're going to be franchising, and that is going to be a beautiful thing because the branding of the NerdHerd. And I wasn't even paying attention. I was actually overweight, smoking. I was in my parents' extra room. I thought I was dead. I even went back to work at the same building called at Symantec. It's called Wayfair now, and I got fired for falling asleep on the phones. I couldn't even navigate up and down the streets because I was so hurt, because I went through your custody battle, and the kryptonite is your kiddo, and you're Superman your whole life, and then no one understands, and you're just in this darkness. So it was hard. So basically, went through that process, but I created this logo with my team, and now it's got tap to pay on there, and I'm still learning what the heck tap. So this cool logo and branding, but now also the revenue to back that up, and being able to harness relationships and my backgrounds as a technician, as a sales guy, etc., where we did an incredible last couple of years at just an explosion when I kind of woke up. And so that the NerdHerd is a big focus right now. However, we're like who was just setting up my audio, the websites, and then now we're starting to get into apps and database stuff. And we just got a contract connected to US Bank, setting up merchants accounts on. So when a client comes to US Bank, they do the thing, and then we set up the merchant, and we get like a percentage off of every transaction. So there's like both. So Kinergy Creative, it's kind of funny because Facebook did 8. They're Meta. Google did 8, and then I did Kinergy Create. There's a lot of 8s last year. It's a long story. I don't really do numerology, but once you get in there, that rabbit hole, you start to see patterns, especially when you expose yourself to a lot. So yeah.
We can definitely use that as an example here. I mean, obviously you're going to have lots of different examples to be able to pull from as you're telling your story here, but the reason, I mean, it sounds like you trying to franchise out. I mean, you've had a successful business. That's really what it is. You've had a successful business, and the opportunity to scale it even bigger now is to develop that same opportunity for other owners.
Correct.
I myself, being a franchise owner of a brand, like I understand that was a applicable play for me. I was 24 years old. I didn't have a business background. I had a sales background, but I needed to understand, or at least have the support of something in business. That made sense for me to leave a 6-figure job at 24 years old. I wanted a system. I didn't want to jump into something where I had to figure out everything from scratch. I wanted something that had a system behind me. So I love that angle.
Yeah.
A lot of work ahead of you, but man, a huge opportunity to provide an incredible entrepreneurship opportunity for other entrepreneurs, which is great.
Yeah, it's been really cool because so my dad was a franchise owner too. He just kind of sunset and I'm sunrise. And in fact, one of my facilities in the last 4 or 5 is I was in the same boutique mall called Oakway Mall, and I got oaks behind me, which is kind of cool. My nephew's an oak. Nice. Anyways, but it was really cool to see my mom, my dad, and be able to say hello to them. But they had they had a commercial cleaning franchise, national. And so that was cool. what I am so thankful for is that I didn't get to have that. I almost was going to do that and jump into the business, but just with my route and my energy and I've always been a fighter. I've always been kind of a rebel where I just question everything. I did it from grassroots, never took out a business loan. I just did relationships just on the phones. Like I got 3 hours of sleep last night. Typically I get like 5 or so. Before that, it was like, 7 to 8, and I am healthy. Don't worry. People get concerned. What about your heart rate? Well, my smartwatch says it's fine.
Yeah.
But I get to consult now, CEOs and others on the East Coast, and I even had an opportunity in London. While I'm just managing all these different things here locally. And that's why I'm doing the launch with the NerdHerd, so I can get some breathing room to be able to really continue my passion to be able to be a visionary. I kind of some of the keywords, since we do SEO and search engine optimization, keywords would be like investor, database, and then I'm like, you mean daddy's base? But like database, and things like that, and a true consultant where I can really go into a room, work with the family, tilt the picture, help them understand the psychology of colors so that family, it feels better. And then also talk to the plumber business that's about to go multi-state and talk about different things in terms of relationships and fulfillment. And I've still got a lot to learn in terms of everything, but I feel like I've got the most important thing ever, which is, like I said before, it's about the honey, not the money. I've got some of the best honey badgers ever, like the person that was just setting up my stuff. People are just getting brought to me, and people that are faithful and that just work so hard and that are extremely intelligent, where they're worth billions of dollars themselves, but they believe in the cause. And the cause for the motto for Kinergy Creative, to kind of loop back around, pun intended, is limitless exponential creation, which Limitless is a great movie. You take the pill and but you don't have to take the pill. Everybody's in their different balance and equilibrium, but I want people to realize that we have the universe inside of us. And the biggest ingredient that we can do to induce the release, the beast, the wolf, the fire, is false evidence appearing real, getting rid of fear. And I think that's the part, getting rid of the messages that were told to us. And now I'm going to say something strong, which some people won't agree with me. Trust no one, not even your mother. And what I mean by that, because I have a good relationship with my mom, they don't know what's in your brain when you wake up in the morning, when you're alone, whatever you're going, whether you're extrovert or introvert, you just got to keep rolling, but then take time to invest your time in those that make you feel like your first love. Then there's others that just give you good suggestions. Awesome. Now write those quotes on the walls, learn about color, all those things, because when you continue to have that positive feedback system, then it's just going to continue to propel yourself.
I think, if I was writing a dissertation on your last 9 sentences, I think it would be broken down in an entire book, because you gave so much in one little short period. So I'm gonna try to pull out a couple of nuggets here for the listener. But I'm hearing you say, number one, you haven't said this word, but you've displayed it, just straight energy, right? Like you have plowed into every single day, including today, with just energy. And I think that word goes kind of untalked about sometimes in the entrepreneurship world, because we know that we need energy because we're all lacking it because we're tired, we're working hard, whatever it is. Right. But like you are choosing to show up with energy in all these different angles. But I also heard too, that you've found the different angles that give you the fuel for more energy.
Yes.
And so like you said, I'm not in a lane, I'm creating the lanes. I'm a visionary. I'm puppeteering. And so that's great. I think that a lot of the guys that are listening right now don't have that skill set naturally, or haven't gotten to that place. And that's probably still why they're not 7 figures or more, is because they haven't figured out the puppeteer perspective or the I create the lanes, because they're still in a lane. And it's okay for a period of time. And there's okay for a period of time unto a certain target. But probably the biggest thing that I wanted to make sure that the listener heard in all of what you have going on is that you've mentioned your team, you've mentioned the people that are around you, you've mentioned kind of how you've gotten there, which is, cut off the people that, aren't necessarily encouraging you or giving you the things that you need to go forward, embrace the ones that are, whether that's your mom or not, who knows? Like whether, I don't know what side mom's on or not for you, but if she's on the good side of the word, of course, mom's always going to love you. But if mom doesn't, it doesn't fuel you, doesn't give you more energy for the things that are inside your,
like be careful,
your passion,
watch out for that dinosaur. But mom, I'm a dinosaur writer. Well, but just be, things like that.
Yep.
But but just like as on DaveGarcia.live, that's my digital high five, my hub, which it's not exactly the way I want it because we got hit with a bunch of people that want me to be quiet, which you got to do with those people too, and increase infrastructure. And now we're pulling in more revenue streams so we can do other stuff. We don't have to worry about kind of stuff anymore. But being able to, according to research, you can go to TED Talks, is an 80-year longitudinal study, regardless of your socioeconomic status. Do not pay attention to Hollywood. Don't worry. Like you're hearing a lot of hip hop artists and country and anything. They're starting to really come through with a message of like this last year, this time of COVID has created a reality for everybody. First of all, information technology, everybody's connecting. Holy cow. But now it's like so much information, spam everywhere. Like, was that even my mom that just texted me and things breaking? Oh my God. And then someone says, don't say, oh my God. And then people getting offended. And now it's like, the biggest thing for us to live longer is to, again, regardless of socioeconomic status, is to connect with people and listen, storytelling, anti-yelling, and being able to get your people into the right space and lane. And for the person that's in the lane where it's like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Like you're a fish in water and I'm trying to talk to you about water and you're not going to get it. That's okay because I was there too. And so it's about like but you got something. So fail forward, but always watch the things that might be falling off. So because every time, I think the biggest thing is decluttering, reducing the amount of licks it takes to the center of the Tootsie Pop. And it's blue. Mine's got electrical tape around it, but blue keeps you cool. Blue keeps you cool. Orange, I'm from Orange County. Orange actually is healing. They put that in hospitals. But the reality is being able to, when you look at your coffee, you listen to Gary Vaynerchuk and Tony Robbins and these other guys, great quotes, totally cool. But once you begin to take off the training wheels and you just go do it yourself, if you can, remember when you jumped into the freezing water off of 60 feet, and some are built for this and some aren't. Maybe you're going to be an engineer and that's just what you want. You don't want to do it with people, but for those of you that are listening, this is entrepreneurship. This is entering in a crew, a leadership. And so to do that, you're going to either shit or get off the pot and be able to get dirty and be able to get within as a servant, being a servant. A true king is a servant. And when they serve and they serve hard, part of that process of maturizing is you're going to get maimed and blamed, especially if you're a unicorn fart going upstream. Like in my town, they're like, oh my God, he is crazy and he is a weirdo. And, the memes, not too many 1-star reviews. Mostly it was all 5 until I had to lose some snowflakes, but it doesn't matter. Boston and New York, Philadelphia, they're coming in. They're like, oh my God, you're so funny. Yeah. You're like this guy, actor, or whatever. No, I'm Dave Garcia. Leave me alone. But like,
right.
Being able to get into the thicket, I think a huge takeaway is to be able to be like, I'm marinating with the engineer talking about a pager system, and I'm actually standing there with him, not thinking about trying to sell or create business and market it so awesome, top heavy flower power. But like really understanding what energy and power is. Where is the source, versus the sorcerer? What is the order versus the disorder? Knowing how things are arranged and taking the time, and being careful when you start getting accolades. Because if you want to stay at 6 figures, great. But if you want to get higher, stop thinking about the money and you keep focusing on, like, someone just said I should write a book. Okay, fine. I just bought the emeraldbrickroad.com, put a pin on it, but I'm staying focused on my goals because I'm mostly concerned about healing people and businesses. And as you do that, people smell that. They can tell that your energy is authentic and that you're here to actually do some good shit.
I have to tell you, I feel like you just took us through a Dr. Seuss book.
I've been told this.
And, it totally made sense.
Not trying to be,
but
too
it totally
parabolic,
didn't make sense. But it made sense, and so thank you for that. I really, I feel, I feel like I've been through a live. No. I was tracking with you 100%.
Okay, cool.
And even the things that were
about
like
the audience too, though. I know
100%. No. I said it because it's funny and because it's true. And you wear the badge so well of Mr. Seuss, but. My question for you. So we've been up here in the clouds for a minute. We've talked about mindset. You've clearly given us plenty of principles that you followed. I love what you said about a real king as a servant. I 100% agree with that. But I want to go practical with you for a minute.
Sure. Absolutely.
I want you to tell me about a good decision that you've made in one of your businesses that changed the game for you that the listener can write down.
Well, so I didn't take a loan. Years and years ago, 4, 5, 6 years ago. And so I did, I contracted with people in different countries. And so the price was lower, like massively. Sure. I couldn't afford the $95,000 a year, et cetera, developer. And it was just a little bit of a lot of struggle, actually extremely frustrating because as a visionary, you're like, I want this, and this, on the Kinergy creative side or Kinergy Tech website, whatever. And so, but now because I continue to persist and do well, I guess it feeds into the next one. But the practical part was I equipped and employed people that had abilities. They were less costly because I knew that I had the energy to add extra steps, still make sure the client's perception and experience was good. Yeah. While knowing that there's still lots of weight happening on the part of extra steps. And that gave us enough revenue to then gain credit, gain credence, and gain the ability to now, with miracles and just with practical, just relationships in your network. I have people that like just the person that just set up my stuff today. Besides him doing like 1 million audio engineering songs, he can make the ability. So I can say to US Bank, I can say to this merchant from Canada, can fulfill the thing, and he's going to have a high level service. Yeah. So that
okay. So at the beginning, what I'm hearing you say is that you got creative, which I think we all know we have to do, right? Like we're starting a business from scratch. Whether even my first business, I purchased an existing business, but then of course I started several from scratch after that.
Sure.
Even in purchasing something that already had systems, I had to figure out my voice inside of it, which was still me getting creative.
Yes,
so
of course.
So the practicality for you is, especially now in today's world, 2022, we're on Zoom right now. There's this connectability across the country or across the world, where you can have employees or vendors or contractors across the world.
All the stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That can provide services.
Mm-hmm.
And you're able to take good care of them. I think actually one of the coolest parts about it is that for a period of time, it helped you grow your business because you didn't have to put out as much capital in labor. Mm-hmm. But I think the cool part about it is that the rest of the world gets to partake now because of technology. And so whether you have folks on your staff from another country or not, but the reality of it is that you're now developing a family that potentially would have never had the ability to develop themselves, which I think is really cool. Totally off the wall here, but another really cool aspect that brings. I want to flip the coin though on you, and I want you to tell me about a bad choice that you made along the way that would give the insight.
Oh man,
from that choice.
Let's talk about partners. So, so I have a history. And my own team would tell you, David, you keep giving away the keys to the kingdom. Not now. Sometimes I would give my business debit card to people. As a social worker and a therapist of the past, I just wanted to help people. And I have groups on Facebook and other avenues where people are looking for help, and I just want to help and stuff. But that also translated into my I'm not regretful of what I've been through and what I've done, because it's taught me lessons that I can talk about today. But I had a partner that I allowed in that I didn't, you're rushing, you're growing, okay, you go here, you go here, you go here. And then someone comes in, I want to be part of your stuff. You're awesome. And I'm awesome. And I'm like, well, that's cool. I just want a friend. But then you find out later they broke your email. They're siphoning money off your accounts.
Yeah, they weren't looking for a friend.
No, and that's where it's like being better at, some of my staff and friends are like, they've been hurt. They're just they've been through things where they just lock it down and they don't let that happen. But that was a decision that I would say was a very big learning experience of getting.
So here going forward, are you reluctant to partner with people, or do you just have a process now to vet the relationship?
I can smell it, think it, stink it, hack it, whatever. And that's who it was just setting up my stuff today, because you can tell when you hand somebody something and you give them an ETA and then they don't even ask for much in return. And then they give you a return. And we all know, like, okay, well, it's the first month or two and see what happens. But then it continues to happen. And you give them a certain lane, but it's in continuous. And then you hear referrals and it connects to these other things, other synergistic stuff that's just a huge transparency. And there's still a risk. Always going to be risk. That's why you still got to, make sure you have just enough for your own. And so at the end of the day, as I told 7-Eleven, a guy that owned like 8 7-Elevens, broke into my place, punched me 4 times, stole stuff. And like, I told him, even though in person, he's looking clean, I'm looking clean. And I gave him a handshake, they can take everything away from me and it won't even matter because it's all in here and I'll do it again and again.
100%. Right. And so I can see your vision there of, even though they were mistakes, I learned from them. So it quote unquote cost me nothing. Obviously it cost you, right? All of our failures cost us.
Sure.
But the reward of the cost, right? It was an investment, really.
It's an investment in me and the people around me. And they see the victory. They see the guy getting beat down, and we hear these motivational speakings. We hear about different people talking about. It's the same thing. Just like I said when I'm in my second ribbon cutting, where the seed goes down into the ground, and guess what happens? Nobody cares. Nature does. They see it. There's a network. But in terms of what I'm trying to exemplify or illustrate is that the seed goes down. You are the seed. You go down, you're basic, you're boring, you're whatever. And some go so far down and you're left with your own thoughts. And then all of a sudden it breaks and that hurts. And there's tears, there's sweat, there's blood, all sorts of stories about loss. However, that whole part was to get rid of the dross. And
that's
then
where growth comes from.
Deeper. Yeah. And the roots go deep because then when the flower power comes up, guess what those winds are going to do? Say hello. And the flower's like, what's up? And then it's not blown over because the network is deep. Some people do flower first. They do form versus function first, which is why sales and marketing, there's so much out there where it's just like, that's why people don't trust it. And that's why you're going to win tomorrow. You're going to win in this age by being authentic, by being real, because people are learning. Still, there's the billions of dollars that are pumping into marketing. It's still hard to they're still getting a lot of the people to buy in, all the time.
Sure.
But for those of us that are going into the next gen, people are going to smell that. And part of my desire on the marketing side of things, on the psychology, is help people know, don't just follow your nose. It's right underneath it. There's like 500 aliens up your nose, germs, bacteria. Learn. And guess what? You're the universe within too. So as soon as you realize that you don't need to worry about the naughty this and naughty that, but there may be some knots that we need to unwind, find your lane, discover the channel, and be able to see it for what it is, learn about science, learn about humans. That's why I'm very thankful for my degree, in psychology. And then I got into my master's in clinical mental health. And then I stopped because my business was growing. But to really, there's so much to learn. And the biggest thing, like I said from the beginning, is getting rid of the fear, shut off the news, shut off the extra stuff, and just you go to work. Go enjoy someone and do it when no one's watching you. One of the biggest lessons that I've been talking about lately with my friends and family and business partners, whatever, is to do something without looking at the corner of my eye and seeing if that person's looking or that business.
Yeah.
Like I don't look at the statistics.
Is social media recording me right now?
Yeah, right. China's already harvested our energy, and then thankfully I called one of my friends over there who is creators on manufacturing, whatever. But he says, dude, don't listen to the news. I'm like, I know I can't, because people are rushing around while they're paying attention to Russia. It's like, who cares? Can you fix that? Is that up to you to fix? Or is it just no, if you want to get some information so you can get that and then talk about it.
Right.
When I was a sales guy back in, learn about, do the sports thing so you can talk about sports with the CTO or director or whatever. But man, I think it's so cool when you can just do you and not do it because of somebody trying to impress somebody.
Oh yeah. Yeah. 100% out of genuine desire for it. So
people can smell
probably the biggest thing I've heard you say in the last couple of minutes really is, regardless of external circumstances, that could be world events. It could be things that are happening inside of your family, things that you want to do, not want to do. It doesn't really matter. If you're taking action, you said, if you can clarify your lane and then take action, that the seeds come up like they do every time.
Because that was you said, clarify your lane before you act. Because some people act in like great intent. Boom, you shot the arrow so fast, and you just hit somebody's person or something.
Yeah,
and you just created a bunch of drama. But however, I'm not saying don't do that, because things happen. Just some people.
Sure. Yeah, you got to take action sometimes before it's super clear. But I understand what you're saying there. It is good to, let's say it like this. Let's say that you don't always have to have it super clear or crystal clear in order to take action. However,
that can get in the way.
When you have it clear, then you can go 100 miles an hour. Like
correct, but
you
don't
can go 100 miles an hour when you're just going straight.
Right. And as I had an address on Clear Lake Road, do I focus on, oh my gosh, the synchronicity of clear, and do I need to focus so much on the word and no, like just try to, and that's why we have to know thyself. That's why I have to get back to the basics, right? Keep it simple, stupid. As I'm training somebody and they're like, but David, you just went way complicated. Well, that was the owner. So like as an entrepreneur, there's so many things that you're juggling. So I relate this to something very important to me. And there's a huge movie that's going to go with this. Oh my gosh. But the Tetherball pole, and I do not know why it came to me, but it's you take yourself as the central nucleus. You take this pole and you bake it into the rock, something that's solid, where your home is where the heart is. And you have your kids or your animals or whatever you can handle. You got a spot where you can retreat to and have some space and get into that headspace. But my point is that baking into the rock, and then you have the tetherball, you're tethered to a ball. Could be your child, could be whatever it is your commitments are. Yeah. Now, if you tether to too many, you're going to bend over and you might break. You'll come back.
That's right.
If you're part of that thread. But I really like the idea of being able to be like baked into the nucleus. You're the nucleus. You've got your agreements. Watch your agreements. And this is an entrepreneur talk speech right here too. So when you create agreements, you should know where the source comes from. So if I'm going to do a contract with US Bank, or if I'm going to do a contract with something, what are their intentions? What are their 5, 10, 25-year plan? And sometimes it's really hard to know. What is this tied back into Russia? And are they going to get me, or whatever? Right. What are those people? There's some diplomatic things that are also those are the things that I'm going to get into. But yeah, that's I think the tetherball pole is kind of a cool analogy.
Great example. And I think that we can all relate to it. I'm going to exit our show here with 3 practical questions. We'll call it the speed round. Ooh. So if you're ready, I want 1-word answers if possible. I don't know if that's going to be possible for you.
It's good.
But if possible, I want to know the 1-word answer here, and I might dig in a little bit. But the first question is this: inside of your business or businesses, if you could only pick one metric to track, where would you spend your attention?
Business size. That's 2 words. So
that is 2 words, but that's okay. What do you mean by that? Do you mean revenue? Do you mean team size? What do you mean?
I mean, it could be revenue later on, but if I did a contract with Nike, that's important to me.
Got it. Okay. So the size more meaning like value of what's happening.
Yes.
Okay.
Revenue, of course. Revenue is huge, but I don't want it to be the fast, quick one. Those are fine too. But really, like, did I just transact and get a contract with like I mentioned earlier, the merchant from Canada that's connected to US Bank and the BBB. That is like, oh
yeah, that's something tangible, like real that you can hold.
Real.
Something that you're building sustainably.
Correct.
Okay. What book would you recommend the six-figure owner read?
My book in about a month. No, just kidding. I would say Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Great book. Okay. And last question. If you lost it all, what would you do?
If I lost it all. Well, I've lost it many, many times. I would do what I would do right now. Do it again. And again and again and again and again. Hit me harder, please. Because as you punch me in my abs, they get stronger. Duh. I mean, that's just normal. Like you rip my muscles apart when I'm working out in the gym. I win because they heal and get stronger, which I don't actually go to the gym because I'm always out and about moving and shaking 20,000 steps yesterday. So it's like, I don't have time for the gym.
That's good clarity. Good honesty there. But such a good, just note to end on, which is, like you have to be resilient, right? You have to press through. And so if you lost everything, I love that approach. I get a similar answer every time, but in just a variance of different personalities, which I love that. I also love the fact that you've lost it multiple times because it's not scary to you anymore, right? So then therefore you're able to just press in, take the risk that most people are hesitant. And it's like, if I lose it all, it doesn't matter because I'll just do it again anyway. Once you have that clear reality, it's like, you have full confidence. Like it's full steam ahead, Okay. If someone wanted to connect with you further, or potentially even want to do business with you, how would they find you? How they reach out to you?
None.
Okay. You don't want anybody to reach out to you?
I'm like, no, just kidding. No, you can reach out to me. You can go to, I guess, davegarcia.live is my digital high five. You can kind of get a little snippets. And if you're not too scared, then hit me. Dave at KINERGYTECH.com. Kinergy, energy, kinship, which is why you connect.
The whole deal. The king perspective.
Yeah. So that the email is great. You can text or call our business line at 541-357-9432. We're on like all sorts of platforms, like all the social medias and whatnot. But I think the most important thing is you'll connect if it's meant to be.
Good. I love that. I love the digital high five expression. If you want to connect with Dave, feel free to do so, please. So we wish you absolutely nothing but success. Thank you for being here today on the show. Honestly, even though it was creative, I love the energy that you bring. I think that you're going to continue to see success in all that you're doing because you're resilient. That's probably the number one thing that I walked away from this conversation is knowing that like, if this guy can keep coming back at it over and over and over multiple times, then I have no excuse. And so thank you for that. Thank you for giving me that. All the plenty of other things you gave to our listeners, but we just wish you nothing but success. Thank you for being here.
Well, success starts with suck it first. And you brought in an anti-succubus mentality and you gave me something more than money, which is affirmation. And so there's no surprise. We don't know each other that well, but I know that you are a wonderful human. And I thank you for offering this platform as a venue for people to dine on. So keep doing that. And I thank you so much.
That's awesome, man. I'm sure our conversations will continue.
I would hope so.
Thanks for listening to Gathering the Kings. We hope you got a ton of value today and learned a thing or two about taking your business to 7 figures and beyond. If you desire more and want a community around you to help you get there, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com. That's gatheringthekings.com. And I want you to apply for our next Becoming a King 90-day intensive. We are extremely exclusive by nature as a group. What that means is that we're really wanting only the entrepreneurs who take their business and targets super serious to apply. So if that's you think you got what it takes to level up your business, I want you to go to gatheringthekings.com and apply. And we will see you on the other side.